Welcome to The Richie Show, a personal development mastermind. Richie is an entrepreneur, speaker, author of In Spite of the Odds, and he's addicted to motivating, inspiring, and sharing the valuable information he used to accomplish his dreams so you can accomplish yours.
This is Richie Cantardesi, and thank you for joining me in episode 1, How to Overcome Fear. How not to allow fear to stop you from living your dream. We all have dreams, so why is it that only a select few ever accomplish their dreams? If you're looking to make that leap, achieve that major goal, or to live your dream, you're in the right place. We are going to discuss today 3 steps to overcome fear and a simple formula that you can use. But since this is episode 1, let me introduce myself. I am an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and author of In Spite of the Odds. Check it out on Amazon.com. I created this podcast because I want to share the information I wish I had with you. My time as an athlete, collegiately and professionally, a friend, family member, and acquaintance to many, I've heard from lots of people that I'm not big enough. I'm not talented enough, I'm not smart enough, and I can't do it. So I want to give you valuable information that will save you tons of time and money. I'm going to share some of the things I've learned and some of the things I've done to become successful, like earning a Division I football scholarship in one of the most prestigious conferences in college football, the SEC, at 5'7", 150 pounds. How I started my own business living on couches with $700, and how I ultimately wrote a book about my experience. When I failed 5th grade, and I thought my whole life that I couldn't write. So I created this podcast because I want to give valuable information. I want to give some of the main reasons as to why I was able to do this, and why you're able to do some of the things that you want to do as well. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you have a dream or a major goal you want to accomplish. What is your dream or major goal? Is it to start your own business, play professional sports, start a school, help others become successful, financial independence? I heard one time you will become successful if you help others become successful. So why is it that we all have dreams and major goals, but only a very, very small percentage ever accomplish them? What are they doing that most aren't? I can humbly say I've been very blessed to accomplish some of my dreams that I had, and I know with this formula, I can continue to accomplish and achieve great things. So what is stopping us? Fear. And in most cases, the fear of failure. We can do what we're dreaming, but we have this fear of failure that's stopping us. So let's talk about what is fear. How do we recognize the fear when it's happening to you, and ultimately how to overcome it? So what is the fear of failure? I'm going to read a quick definition here for you from Wikipedia, and it says, Achophobia is the abnormal, unwanted, and persistent fear of failure, a type of specific phobia. As with many phobias, achophobia often leads to a constricted lifestyle and is particularly devastating for its effects on a person's willingness to attempt certain activities. Wow, that's powerful. A constricted lifestyle. Gallup did a poll in 2013 that said 70% of Americans hate their jobs. 70% of those who participated described themselves as disengaged from their work. As human beings, as people, we are meant to grow. We are meant to grow every day. So what's holding us back from what we want to do? Fear is just an illusion. It's an emotion. It's not real. It's fake. It plays tricks on our minds. We've all been scared to do something, and we went ahead and did it anyways. And how did you feel after? You felt relief. Felt accomplished. That fear and that nervousness, it all just went away. But why? because it's just an emotion. It's an illusion. How many times do we get scared to do something and we talk ourselves out of it? And then we conversate with ourselves to make ourselves feel better. But at the end of the day, subconsciously, we're not happy about it. 5 years ago when I graduated from Ole Miss, I wanted to write a book about my story. I wanted to write a book. My story's simple. My dream was to play big-time college football, play on TV. But my whole life, since I was in Little League, I was the smallest kid on the team, and on top of that, I was never the fastest or the strongest. I'm a booming 5'7", 150 pounds, and through building relationships and one failed year at Jacksonville University, I found one opportunity. A tryout to walk on and be the tackling dummy at Ole Miss. One shot. After the tryout, I was given 1 week on the field. I made it to the next step, but I made it 1 week on the field to show I could take the punishment and earned a practice squad spot. After 3.5 years of patience, persistence, being positive, coaching changes, and injuries, I earned a full Division I football scholarship from the head coach Houston Nutt at the time. I fulfilled my dream of starting in the SEC, started in all 12 games my senior year, had SEC catches in front of as many as 97,000, played and in front of 102,000. I was a 2-time Scholar Athlete of the Year award winner, 2-time letter winner, and not to mention I graduated with a degree from the University of Mississippi. I went on to play 1 season of arena football professionally. A 1.5 years ago, I finally decided to write the book. I wanted to write the book when I graduated college. It took me 3.5 years to finally decide to write the book. Now it's releasing next month. Like I said, you could check it out on Amazon.com, but help me understand what changed 3.5 years after I originally wanted to write the book. I was never a good writer. I'm still not a good writer. But a 1.5 years ago, I realized it was just a fear of failure, and that the reason I didn't write the book is because I did not think I was worthy. I didn't think I was good enough to write a book. I thought authors were esoteric, and I failed 5th grade. That's right, I failed 5th grade. Even in college, I wasn't the best writer. I'm still not the best writer, but I always found help. I always got better. I found a way to get it done. A 1.5 years ago, before I wrote the book, I was just afraid of failure. And that fear was just an illusion, an emotion. Because after I started, it magically disappeared. I mean, it came back a few times, don't get me wrong. After I had that first draft, man, I was scared to read it. I knew it was going to be a lot of work. So how do you recognize fear when it's stopping you? We know what fear is. We know it's an emotion. But how do we recognize what's stopping us is fear when we are going to do that something? There are a few things we all do, and that's make excuses, procrastinate, we get nervous, we get anxious. We're reluctant to try new things. It can even give us low self-esteem or low confidence. And it makes us only do things we are already good at or compete against people we know we can beat. It makes us say things like, there's no way I could start my own business. It's funny, when I had my one child at Ole Miss, I can't even tell you the amount of excuses that were going through my head. I had to perform in front of well-known coaches and big-time football players. These guys I've been watching on TV. A lot of these guys are now in the NFL, like Michael Orr from The Blind Side, Mike Wallace, Dexter McCluster, Greg Hardy, just to name a few. And I had to do my best or my football career could have been over. I was nervous, and man, did I procrastinate. If I could have, I would have had the tryout a year later, even though I was prepared. I made all kinds of excuses as to why I shouldn't go to the tryout, and I remember sitting on the floor of the indoor practice facility, putting on my cleats, and watching all these big-time players walk by. And they were laughing and talking, and I was self-conscious. I thought to myself, these guys are laughing at me. I felt not worthy. I felt like I didn't belong. I was worried, what will people think of me? I was worried, what would my parents think of me? What my friends would think of me if I don't make the team? But all those feelings were just a fear of failure. I was scared to fail. We all experience this feeling, this emotion, and it's crucial that we can identify that this is just a fear. And we've got to have the courage to do it anyway. Because at the end of the day, I believed in myself. I knew it was just an emotion. I tried out anyway, and it's turned to be the biggest blessing of my life. So we know what fear is, and we know how to recognize fear, excuses, procrastination, nervousness, anxiety. So most importantly, how do we overcome fear? I like to think about what are all the possible outcomes? What is the best and what is the worst possible scenario? After I finished the tryout, I felt like $1 million. I felt relief. Because the feeling I had before was just an emotion. It was an illusion. Nike coined the phrase, just do it. And it's simply just do it. You've got to know what fear is. You've got to know how to identify fear. But ultimately, it's on you, and you've got to force yourself to just do it. You must prepare, put together all possible outcomes, good and bad, and have a plan B. If you do this, I promise nothing will scare you, because you know if you fail, the next step is already planned out. Someone told me the difference between a failure and a successful person is not the one who is more talented, bigger, smarter, but the successful person fails and fails and fails until they are successful, and the failure quits. So what's holding you back from accomplishing your dream? That feeling will disappear once you do it, I promise. A year ago, I thought to myself when I was writing the book, why don't I call Rudy? Why don't I call the real Rudy from the movie? You know, the movie, he played at Notre Dame, and he went to Holy Cross and had to get into the university, finally made the team, and his senior year had that big sack at the end of the game. I thought to myself, why don't I just call him? He created a classic movie. It's a very similar story, but I procrastinated. I put it on my to-do list, and I found a reason why I would call him the next week, and the next week, and the next week. 5 months later, after putting it on my to-do list, it finally just hit me. I'm not calling him because there's a fear here. This is a fear of failure, a fear of rejection. I was scared that he was going to reject me. That's it. I was afraid that he was going to reject me. In reality, what is the worst that can happen? Okay, I get rejected. Then what? I move on to the next name on my list. I had a plan B. I picked up the phone and called, and what happened? I got rejected. Sure enough, I got rejected when calling and emailing for 6 months. 6 months I got rejected. Finally, I made a phone call on a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. By the way, if anyone here is in sales, if you have that one client or prospect that you're looking to call and get on the phone, Friday at 4 p.m., everyone is always the most happy. You're going to have the best luck. If you don't get the prospect on the phone or the person you're trying to get on the phone, typically their secretary is about to go away for the weekend and off of work and is usually in a good mood. So, just a side note. Finally, I made the call at 4 o'clock and the secretary scheduled a meeting. I got a 15-minute meeting with Rudy for the following week. I prepared for the meeting to build self-confidence. I had to build up my self-confidence, and I had to have a plan B. But most importantly, I just did it. I picked up the phone and called Rudy. The first thing he said is, you got 15 minutes to tell me your story. An hour and a half later, we were talking about going into business together. We were talking about going into business together. Right now, we are going to business together. We are creating a mentoring network or a membership site or whatever you want to call it for all walk-ons in every sport, men or women, or in life, the underdogs. Basically, this site's going to be comprised of networking and mentoring, sharing stories, helping each other, helping people get jobs. It's going to be filled with all great people, great content, and it's launching soon. And none of this would have happened if I didn't know what fear was, if I didn't know how to identify fear and ultimately overcome it. So I challenge you. What is the fear that's stopping you? Is it not calling that potential client? Is it getting into the gym? Is it starting that business? Trying out for the big sports team, the big college? Get professional. Applying for that CEO role or head coaching job? Finding ways to create passive income to create financial freedom. What is that dream that you have, and what is stopping you? Think about it. Write down your dream on the top of a sheet of paper. Then write one action you can take to get closer to that dream. That emotion of fear might be hitting you right now when you're writing that action down. Just let it go. Pick something little. It must be something you can do today. Because tomorrow morning when you wake up, you're going to think about that dream. You're going to write that dream down again, and you're going to write down one thing you can do that day. If you do this for 30 days, I'm telling you, you will start to see the light, or even accomplish the goal or dream you have, or you might have new ideas pop up. Regardless, your life is simply going to change from doing it. You just need to understand what fear is, how to identify or recognize fear when it hits you, and then how to ultimately overcome that fear. Fear is just an illusion. It's going to make you panic, have anxiety, make excuses, procrastinate. And the way to overcome fear is to think about all the possible outcomes, good or bad. Create a plan B, prepare, and just do it. We all have dreams. So like I said in the beginning, why is it that only a select few ever accomplish their dreams? Because they know what fear is. They recognize it and ignore it. Go get what you want. You deserve it. Believe in yourself. And don't let fear kill your dreams. This is Richie Cantardesi, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this podcast, please leave me a quick review. I look forward to having you next time. Go get it.